We have to first understand what coaching is. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that coaching is giving somebody a set of instructions. Some people make the mistake of thinking coaching is giving feedback. Some people make the mistake of thinking that coaching is helping somebody with whatever task they want to do. Some people make the mistake of thinking coaching is the selfless act of helping further the other person's goals, whatever they may be. And yes, there can be aspects of coaching that check some of those boxes, but that is not the highest level of coaching. So, as with anything, any human endeavor, there are levels of expertise, levels of impact, and then there is the level of mastery. And what I'm interested in teaching people is mainly the mastery. The mastery level of coaching is about helping the individual understand themselves. Because if you can be an assistant in helping someone understand themselves, you have not only solved the one problem that they may have brought to you at this moment, you played a meaningful role in helping them solve pretty much every problem they will ever face in their life, business or personal. So that is what mastery level coaching looks like. That is what transformative leadership and transformative management looks like. We have a lot of people say, oh, in this industry, we are lacking transformative managers. And we are, but a lot of times people are talking about transformation in terms of, ooh, I want a manager that helps me get straight to director or straight to VP, because of course, I am VP material, right? That's not transformative. If a manager is doing that for you, it's most likely because either that manager has a low self-esteem or that manager is trying to pursue their own agenda. And your promotion direct to director or VP is merely a tool that they choose to use in pursuit of that agenda. Okay. So how do you coach somebody if personality is largely innate? Of course, the answer is you help them understand themselves. So then, of course, the next question is, well, how do you help them understand themselves? And you mainly do that in two ways. One is you don't give them feedback. You make observations and you share those observations. The second is that you ask them the right questions. I'm going to further break those down for you. So why not give somebody feedback and why instead make observations? There are two reasons why. The first reason is that when you give somebody feedback, it doesn't matter how open they say they are to feedback, how hungry they are for feedback, they are going to get defensive. That is human nature, and most human beings cannot combat it. They might be saying all the right things, they might be expressing all the right body language, but inside, they're not peaceful about what they're hearing. The problem is once you put somebody on the defensive, what happens is a lot of their senses shut down. In this case, partially shut down, because clearly they're not under a physical attack. And the problem now is that if you're coaching, you want them to be at the greatest degree of openness that they can be. So your job as a coach is to first instill that high degree of openness. So when you start with feedback, you are working against that goal. And there's a problem with the language too, which is when somebody says, give me feedback, or you tell them, oh, let me give you some feedback, you will not be able to control sounding judgmental. I don't care how good you are at giving feedback. You're going to sound like you're passing judgment. That's another thing you don't want to do, because you also don't want to taint your thoughts. But instead, you can make observations. When somebody says, give me feedback, in this scenario where it's related to personality, say, well, the main feedback is, I think you're doing a solid job, and here are some examples for why. You want to make them feel comfortable, okay? Now, only do this if it is actually true, right? So give them that feedback, but don't spend more than 30 seconds on it. And then pivot and say, actually, we're grown-ups here. I don't think I have feedback for you, but could I share a couple of observations with you? And notice, even though I'm presumably the person in power or who has greater power in this relationship, I'm not saying I want to share some observations with you. I'm asking them a question. Could I share some observations with you? Because you want them to feel empowered. Of course, the answer to that question is always yes. Nobody says no. But even though it is a question for which there's only one answer, the other individual is now going to feel more empowered and is also going to feel more open because now they're curious. Ooh, what are these observations? It's a surprising thing. Nobody's ever told them this. Anytime they've asked for feedback, people have given them the shit sandwich. So that's what they're expecting. And human beings react really well to novel situations as long as they're not threatening. So now you created a novel situation for them and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm curious. And then you share your observations, whatever those are. So that's the first part. Then what do you do next? Now you use questions to help them truly learn more about themselves. Let's take a specific example here. Say it's a coaching conversation and it's something about, well, I'm thinking about what's next for me in my career. I want to start a company. I feel like I was born to do that. I also have this job offer and I could also apply for a promotion here. Now, this doesn't have to be a career coaching thing. It can be pretty much any coaching, even like, why don't I present as well to execs, even though I present really well to non-execs and to my team? Or it could be like, hey, help me with this person. I can't get along with them and help me figure out how to deal with this. It can be any situation. So somebody's like, okay, yeah, I want to maybe start a company. Okay, what's going to be my first question? Why do you want to start a company? I'm curious. In response to that question, most people will embark on this 5-minute monologue, which makes very little logical sense, but you let them speak, right? You listen. The reason I'm asking that question is, what is this person's clarity of thought? How clear are they? And like I said, most people are not at all clear. It's some random thing after another. Oh, this domain seems interesting, blah, blah. It's the usual, oh, I don't want to work for anybody. I want to set my own schedule, my own hours, whatever. Like, I want to make an impact on the world, blah, blah, right? I feel like that's my life's mission, whatever. Once they are done, let's say they say something like, oh, I feel like that's the best way I can make an impact on the world. Then my question will be, why is it important to make an impact on the world? And now they actually don't know the answer. No one knows the answer to that question. It is an impossible question to answer. And yet, because of our ego, we feel like we must answer the question. So we will embark on some answer. Like, I'm really passionate about this cause. When I was 11 years old, I saw that there were many kids without textbooks. And so they had a lot of hardship. I want to solve that problem by giving people access to free textbooks, free education. I want to democratize access to high quality education. Okay, I hear you. That's a very commendable intention. And it's great. I love it. I love it. Why do you want to do it? So now they're very, very confused. What do you mean why? I just told you why I want to do it. Like, I want all of this stuff, right? I had these life experiences. I feel like I need to give back, etc., etc. Maybe in that case, I will ask them something like, what makes you think that giving back will give you the satisfaction that you told me you seek? And so now they will recite some truism around giving back and why human beings are happiest when we give back, some borrowed knowledge, right? It is at that point where I'll point out, like, I'm curious, where did you hear this? It's a leading question. Where did you read this? That giving back is the key to human happiness or satisfaction or whatever else. And so they will probably say, yeah, I read this somewhere. Most people have read it in a tweet somewhere, but they won't say that. They'll try to say, oh, I read it in a book somewhere, Man's Search for Meaning or whatever else. Okay. Have you given back in the past, even in small ways? Yeah, I have. I did this ABC, volunteered here, there, whatever. Okay. As a result of giving back in the past, are you satisfied right now? Are you happy right now? How happy are you? Scale of 1 to 10. By the way, that is a fake question because happiness, you cannot put it on a scale. It's a very binary thing. It's an okay question to ask in the process of coaching. Okay, so how happy are you? Because you gave back. Well, right now I'm not that happy because that was a while back, or right now I have an annoying boss and I don't want that. Oh, okay, interesting. So just giving back is not enough. There are other conditions here. Like, you want to be your own boss. You don't want to be subject to other people's priorities and other people's schedules and other people's directions. Okay. So what else is there? What you are trying to do with these questions is you are trying to give this person a glimpse. It's just a glimpse. Okay. Because one conversation will not change anybody's life. But what you are trying to do with this is you're giving them a glimpse into themselves. And at some point after this set line of questioning, I will point out to them the big idea, which is that ultimately, I think we can agree that you need to think clearly about what you want. All I want to be able to do in this capacity as somebody who's coaching you is to help you remove all the garbage that is getting in your way of being able to think clearly. Because there's just there's heaps and heaps of garbage that is blocking your ability to think clearly. You actually naturally have the ability to think clearly, but there is just heaps and heaps of garbage. There's one pile of garbage that is all around, ooh, I need to make an impact on the world. There's another pile of garbage, oh, I need to help others. There's another pile of garbage, oh, I need to manage my own schedule, or I need to be my own boss. These are specific examples here, but I'll tell you, in any situation, you are not able to think clearly because there's all these piles of garbage. And you think it's not garbage. You think it's some exquisite architecture in your mind. You value this garbage. And what you have done is you've made it part of your identity. Effectively, what you've done is you've said, I am a person who loves this big, smelly heap of garbage. And once you make it part of your identity, that's very hard to then think clearly. The way this ties back to personality is through these coaching conversations, you want them to understand the aspects of their personality that are perhaps working against their own interests. And that is all you can do. You can do nothing further than that with another human being. With yourself, you can do more than that. But with another human being, that is all you can do. You can help them understand why their lack of openness or a heap of garbage that is getting in the way of the very goals they seek, or why not being conscientious in a specific role is a problem. So the problem is not that you have a conflict with this other guy, gal, team, etc. The problem is actually very deep rooted in your personality. And this kind of coaching is transformational. It takes time. Like I said, it's not one conversation and you're done. I've done this with a number of people. It hasn't always worked, but it does work with a pretty high success rate. But it takes months. The last tip I'll leave you with is you can only make progress in a coaching context once you've dealt with specifically the openness dimension. Because without that, there is no further progress possible. Again, I'm talking at the mastery level of coaching. There are other levels of coaching below that, which can also be effective. Find the openness is low, but now you're going to use some kind of incentive, hard carrots, to essentially manipulate the person into doing certain things that are perhaps good for them, good for the team, etc. Yes, that can be done. So can personality be changed? I am yet to see evidence. I don't mean scientific evidence. I'm a very creative person. You tell me, hey Shreyas, I want this conclusion about the effect of personality on ABC factor, whatever the factor is, on wealth, on success, on happiness, on marital longevity, whatever it is. I can guarantee you I will design a study that stands the scrutiny of whatever the scientific standards are, and I will draw that conclusion for you. 100% I guarantee you. So I don't give a fuck about any scientific study, all right? That is yet another kind of pile of garbage. Now, here's the thing, the antithesis principle, right? I don't give a fuck about scientific studies because I know the truth of what this is. But if I need to convince somebody that they ought to pay attention to this, sure, I might cite a scientific study, but I'm not going to take them as truth because somebody showed me an N of 100 with this statistical significance and made some nonsense graphs that actually we'll all pretend we understand, but none of us do, right? And wrote a 6-page long paper because that's what the journal asked for. By the way, I've written those academic papers. This is why I quit the PhD program, because I was like, this is all bullshit. It's not about, oh, scientific studies say personality can change. I don't care. I can prove to you that personality can change, and I can prove to you that personality cannot change. You just tell me what conclusions you want. I'll design the perfect study, the perfect participants, the perfect N, the perfect mathematical modeling and analysis, and I can show you that. So please get rid of all of those. Don't cite for me, oh, here's a paper from Harvard, because then you're not getting this message. It is my observation that most human beings cannot change their base personality characteristics. Some human beings can at least play a role, play a part. They can wear the hat. And the most common one is introverts wearing the extroverted hat, or vice versa, right? The vice versa is less common. You can do that. But the base personality doesn't quite change. The only situation where I've found people have gone through some kind of meaningful personality transformation is after some meaningful personal or work related trauma. And all that trauma, the dark period or whatever it is, whether it's anxiety, depression, or job loss, and then some emotional turmoil as a result of job loss, or does not meet review rating, or whatever it is, right? It's not the event that causes the transformation. It's the emotional turmoil arising out of that event that can cause the transformation. And not everybody has the emotional turmoil after these events. Again, it doesn't mean everybody who goes through a traumatic, stressful event will have a transformation, but some people do. So that's an overall view of what mastery level coaching looks like and how you might apply it in the context of personality.